Hello and welcome back to the Amateur Shittalkers. Today in the studio with us we have the king of wholesome content, I'd say. Who have we got with us?
So I'm Samuel Weidenhofer. It's Soza on the socials. So, yeah, it's all
Soza,
about...
that's quite a cool name.
It's a very cool name. It's
How'd you
unique.
come up with Soza?
Some kid at school told me that because I used to get bullied a lot. It was just a name to reflect on, and it's a name that makes me look back on everyone that made fun of me and how far I've got, and the fact that I'm probably still working at McDonald's, you know? Because if you hate on people, you don't get far, you know?
I think that's
really
the best story we've had in terms of like naming like
and an opener, the best probably opening sentence we've had.
100%. I think we're in for a good episode.
I hope so.
Well, Soza.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So I travel the world spreading kindness and helping with mental health awareness and just, making the world a better place using the experiences that people have been through, the negative things happening in the world and in the media to actually kind of shift that mindset and turn it into something positive and, see what can we grab out of this situation and how can we, help with what's going on in the world. So
yeah, and I love how just touching on the other day, like when we saw you in the city, on Burke Street, there was obviously a protest going on, which is quite I think half the time it creates a
very common occurrence.
Yeah, it creates a negative atmosphere, and then there's just someone on the streets just asking people to give him hugs if they have any sort of mental illness and that. So yeah, I think it sheds a lot of positivity on the world. And
just off the top of it, what does the sign actually say? So Sam does he'll basically stand on Burke Street, isn't it? Stand on Burke Street with a sign at your feet, with your arms open, asking for a hug.
Yeah, so it says, if you have depression/anxiety, hug me. So it just creates that level of, if someone isn't okay or if someone doesn't have an opportunity to talk to someone, they're welcome to come talk to me and they're welcome to open up, because a lot of people don't have anyone to hug at the end of the day. So, a hug can really kind of break that stigma and kind of get rid of that barrier or rid of that anxiety, because I'll be, if I'm not filming, I'll be walking around the mall and I'll just be watching the world, and I see how disconnected we are, especially since COVID.
100%,
when would you hear a stranger have a good day if they're not trying to sell something? Or when would you have a stranger check up on you or, give you a smile? It just doesn't happen. I see even at the tram stops, people flooding on and pushing in people's way, people cutting lines, and it's kind of just normalized to cut a line now. Honestly, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. I'll hold myself accountable for the canteen line at school, but that's that's a different story. I think I'll bring positivity in that way.
That's a war going on there.
But yeah, I think it's really underrated what a hug can do for people, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have my family to go home to and usually go to bed with a hug and that, but a lot of people don't have that thing around them, and but I think it's also you're right with the negative world as well. Matt and I have kind of made it our mission to go out, and if we see something nice about someone, just say it. That's probably one of the biggest
nice
things.
Shoes or cool hat or anything.
And I think a lot of people can use the struggles they've been through to use them as an excuse for how they are. And I know everyone's situation is different, but I was born with a speech disability. I was bullied my whole life. I lost my auntie to suicide. So instead of letting that define me as an excuse for what I'm doing, why don't I switch my behavior to actually make a difference for my auntie and for those kids who made fun of me? Turn hate into love. Because if you feed hate with hate, it's only going to make a situation worse. But if you actually look at your current situation, and if you do the opposite of what everyone wants you to do, that is how you'll change the world. You will never change the world if you feed hate with hate.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
I think Matt and I try to put that message out, but it's a lot. It's usually a lot more.
It's a lot clearer coming from you, I think, Sam.
Yeah.
What do you think sparked your interest in going into social media? Well, one, also, when did social media come about, come into it, and what sort of sparked that idea?
I think I always had that dream as a kid to be a YouTuber. Who doesn't? But to most, it's only a dream. And to most, you know, because of what people say at school, you'll give up that dream. But for me, that was never the case. It was always in my mind. It was always, one day I'm going to do this. And then I think one day, honestly, when I was struggling the most and when I was like at the worst, I was just like, all right, I'm just going to be myself and I'm going to turn to social media to show people that. So I think it was when I was struggling the most, I actually turned it into like a quick flick of inspiration. And, you know, a lot of us will get that hope or inspiration, but then it will just die away, or we'll just go, oh, yeah, but it's too hard.
Yeah.
But I just had that mindset, no, I have to try, you know.
And I think it's a lot harder for someone to do it independently. I mean, Matt and I both like have ourselves to have each other's backs pretty much, but
Yeah, to lean, like shoulder to lean on sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, especially going on
And
social
it was
media.
a really lonely journey. I lost so many friends, you know, my good group of friends all turned against me saying, oh, you're so cringe, you know, we're not going to be friends with you anymore. Like, you've changed. But no, I was just like showing myself, like,
yeah.
and they didn't like that, you know. I was always trying to probably fit in, but there's always that quote, like, why fit in when you were born to stand out, you know?
Exactly
That's
right.
yeah, I love that quote.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
And they have what 6.3 million people behind you on TikTok and that.
Yeah, 6.2 on TikTok, 6.2 million. YouTube's nearly hit 1 million. So
It's a lot of
you know,
people.
I always had that dream to hold a gold play button, and it's coming home eventually. So it's very exciting.
It was very
Hopefully, yeah, end of the year. So
Well, going on to that fame sort of thing, when did it first like take off? When did it like first, you know, your first video sort of went big sort of thing?
yeah, so
How long's it been since then?
I used to do interviews on the street, actually.
Was that on
I
TikTok?
went through, on TikTok. I used to do interviews and pranks, but then I was really struggling with my mental health, and it was a point in my life I wanted to end my life. Like I was really struggling, so I actually quit social media and just disappeared. Till then, I probably grew 100K on TikTok. And maybe 5K on Instagram. And it was just a point where I gave up. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I just took a break for 2 months. And then I had one friend say to me in the car, like, yes, like, you might not even like your own content right now, but what you've done and how you've inspired other people to grow and just be themselves is what you should take out of this situation. And like, just know that you've got this far, so why stop? You don't have to do what you're doing now. And in myself, I knew I wasn't really being myself. I was just a kind person. Like, I would stand up for the bullies at school and get picked on more, like shoved into lockers, made fun of, like, all the time. So there was just one day it clicked, and I was like, I'm going to go out and help someone. And that first video impacted millions of people. And from there, it's just got bigger and better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great story. I think I've only really knew the tip of the iceberg before you coming in, and now we've still got a lot more to go and a lot more to learn about you, but I think there's a lot more to it than I really thought it was. It's really good to hear.
Yeah.
What do you find was like your coolest I made it experience, if that makes it? Like,
Yeah, definitely.
where it's sort of it's like, oh wow, like shit.
Well, the biggest I made it moment was definitely probably 3 months ago. So I was heading to America. I booked my flight, and I really didn't know why I was going. You know, I was like, I'm gonna go help people, but I had no idea what to do. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to collaborate with Travis Barker. So I contacted his daughter, Alabama, and she got back to me. And then it was such a stressful situation at the same time. I'm like, is this happening? Like, but she's like, yes, it is. Like, it will all be organized. So I'm on the plane. I flew all over from Australia to America for this. And then I had to fly from LA to Phoenix. Just before boarding the plane to Arizona, she's like, you know, like, here's, you know, I can't wait to see what happens tonight. Here's my dad's phone number, Travis Barker's phone number. So that was a crazy, like, surreal moment to be able to meet him and not just have that 1 minute connection, but actually to connect with him and to be able to help Alex, who unfortunately passed away. But he said to me, like, this is the best night of my life. Like, I'll always remember this. So even to know he was fortunate enough to have that experience, but also to be able to, you know, collaborate with the biggest drummer in the world and one of the most famous people in the world. And if anyone doesn't know who Travis Barker is, you'll refer to him as Kourtney Kardashian's husband, of course. So, and FaceTiming Kourtney Kardashian and stuff, that was just a surreal moment. It put me into tears. Like that night I went home and I just like was crying for like 30 minutes straight, going like, wow, like no one ever believed I could do this. And now look at this. Like to know I'm able to make an impact on a celebrity, like this impact, it can impact anyone, no matter who they are, no matter how famous they are. Like, Yeah. I even get emotional talking about it because like all that bullying, people told me I could never make it,
Yeah, at least it led you, I mean, on the couch today, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll head into more of like, your merch and where you're, like you obviously go on live quite often and you grow a bunch of funds. I think a lot of people misunderstand like what those funds are going towards. So do you want to like tell us a bit about like what you do with them?
Yeah. So I live stream in public. So I'll hug strangers in the mall for anxiety or depression. So that could be hours a day. So I take a 20% cut of that. So some days it might look like, some people think there's so many donations, yet my cut's $50. So, I'll put aside everything else and I'll save it up. A lot of people might go, yeah, but you've given away $2,000 and you've raised 8 or 10. And I'm like, no, what I do is I save it up and then I'll go make an impact with it. So, all those donations are for anything work related. So that can be video costs, that can be travel if I help someone, because I have to get there to be able to, give these people these opportunities. And of course, there's a lot of hate around that, but there's so much negativity on social media. There's so many people who live stream, and where does any of it go? So I'm always constantly giving away thousands of dollars in my videos, and we're about to go to Hawaii and we're going to give away 5 or 10 grand to the locals there.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
And it just always adds up and we give away so much, and trust me, my live streams are filled with hate, but at the same time, none of these people can prove that it hasn't gone to the cause.
Yeah.
They don't know who I am. They don't know my authenticity behind it either. So, I don't let that hate go to me because it's going to a good cause, and I'm doing things the government won't do. I'm doing things that an individual person won't do. And I also look at it like a lot of keyboard warriors that like, if you have a time to sit there and hate on me, you are doing bad in your life. You need help, or you genuinely just need to like reflect. And I do this for the people who hate. Like there shouldn't be hate. Look at, I don't want to say too many names, but look at the live stream rankings. Every week there's like 5 or 10 people in there, and I'll name creators, but I look at their flight details and they're flying business class and they'll give away $100 a video. Guys, I'm flying economy on Jetstar from Hawaii to Melbourne, okay?
Not Jetstar.
And I'm flying economy on every airline. Fiji Airways, not even Qantas.
You might as well
and
swim.
These other guys are flying business class on Qantas. And I'm like, I'll be sitting in my economy room with no leg room and having my legs hurting because there's starving kids in the world. So I should be grateful to board this plane and sit here and have that opportunity to go overseas,
Yeah,
so I'm not going to spend unnecessary money on,
sitting comfortably.
You couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
But
how do you
even last night I saw an Instagram story of some guy who's earning 30 grand a week and it says class business. And I go, really? Like you'll go there and you'll give away $300 to the locals. Yeah. I'll work my ass off. I'll live stream in public, and I have to deal with a lot of people's emotion, of course, but I'm going to give away thousands of dollars. I'm going to be sitting economy, on an airplane. I just want to change the world. That's the thing, and nothing will stop me from doing that.
Yeah.
So.
And how do you, like, obviously early on there was a lot of hate. I think one of your biggest videos so far copped a lot of comments, like such as, I think a lot of stuff to do, like even with the Bible saying, just do stuff. You don't have to share it around, like just do it silently and then, grab all that stuff. But that's part of growing the funds to keep doing it, isn't it? Like you have to, and you have to fight that hate somehow. And how'd you do that? Would you say?
Yeah, well, there's no realistic way to do what I do if it isn't for posting on social media. And trust me, I do things off camera all the time. You know, like the second you told me to come on this podcast, I didn't expect a cent.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to be able to inspire other people, and you do it for the same reason, right? So I look at it as, why is there a problem with spreading kindness on social media and helping someone when someone else posts, you know, content of showing their body off, yet my content gets more hate than that? Yeah. Like, what really is society? Like, we are falling to see people hate on me so much where they don't even know who I am. They don't know what I've been through. They don't know my story. And to see how much we've actually done for people, that's kind of how I look at it. And I always measure success, never of followers, but just the impact that I can create with those people, you know, who watch me and who donate. I just want to create an impact. So to anyone who hates on it, I just feel sorry for them, and I think that's a way I handle it. Yeah. I just feel sorry that they have to take the time out of their day to hate on me for doing something good, because they could go out there and do something good as well, you know?
Yeah.
So I see a problem, you know, there shouldn't be hate or as much hate as there is, because everyone's doing their job for either money, to inspire other people, or to get somewhere, right? You work at McDonald's so you can save up money, right? Like, so what's that an issue with me doing kindness content when all of it's given back anyways? Like, it's...
Yeah. And it kind of like...
silly.
It just reminds me of this, I think, a quote that I saw someone say on a podcast once, but it was, if you have an issue with me, call me. And if you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have an issue with me.
Oh, yeah, Prime Train, I think. I saw
was
that
it? Was that Prime?
Yeah, but I've heard other people. He probably copied it.
I think Tom, something.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah, quite a few people would have said it by now.
Mm.
Have you had many, like you obviously spoke about, you know, you dealt with like a lot in the past, and that sort of inspired you to go out and to like raise awareness for mental health and stuff like that. Have you had people that maybe weren't as nice to you in the past come back and act a bit nicer than they were now, based off, you know,
the other day on live
like
stream, well, I'll speak about two things. On the hate side of things first, I actually had a man approach me in the mall the other day, and he came up to me and he said, "You're a fraud. All you care about is TikTok gifts and money." And then some guy stood up and said, he actually does care. Like, he actually does care. What are you on about? The guy walks away. 5 minutes later, he cries in my arms, saying how sorry he was and how he didn't realize what I actually do with the funds. And, you know, my profile does show a lot of authenticity and credibility, you know? Yeah. Like, it's so big. You see so much money being given away, right? So, yeah.
I think that's a perfect example of a lot of people in the world judging people when they actually don't know the full story.
Well, exactly. And I'll tell you this, like, yes, I'm wearing Yeezys. They're donated for a Christmas present. All my shoes are donated. I don't have any nice clothes. I don't buy clothes for myself. My girlfriend says, you need to buy more. And I'm just like, no, there's people in this world who don't have clothes. I always look at everything like that. Like, every day, I'm so grateful, like, you know, like, yo, I was late to this podcast, but at the same time, like, why be stressed about that when, you know, there's kids in this world dying of cancer, there's people in poverty, there's people who don't even have clothes. I think in Australia, we take everything for granted. This country is such a beautiful country. We have everything given to us. And yet some people are so greedy, you know, and that's how I look at it. A lot of like TikTokers out there, like, if you're earning that much money and you can't give any of it away, like, what impact are you leaving behind? Because that's all that matters at the end of the day. And then with the hate from people who followed me to begin with, I had, you know, a lot of people bully me, make fun of me, laugh at me, and they've come back and asked, how do I grow my social media? Can I have a shout out? Hey, I don't have any money at the moment, you know? Yeah. And then I've lent some of them money to be nice because I'm a nice person, and they never paid me back. So it's, yeah, like, I've had so many people, you know, bully me, hate on me, make fun of me, and then come back expecting something. But that's not how the world works.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly right.
And I guess, like, I don't know, like, you have to wonder, like, how some people work. Because, you know, Matt and I sometimes will just get so much joy out of, instead of going into a live and hating on people, we go in and just, like, spend all our money, like, hopelessly. You know, I'll be cutting...
the other day, actually,
Yeah, I'll be cutting watermelon at Woolworths, making money to just spend it all on gifting people, like, and I just sit there and it's so exhilarating just pressing that button and see people get a smile.
Yeah.
on
We
their
don't do it
face.
that way. I think we went and found someone, like another podcast.
But like at the same time, donate to who you want. That's the thing with social media. You don't have to hate on me if other people are donating because you're not. Like, it's their choice at the end of the day. You know, and realistically, what I do with the money is my choice. But if you watch my videos and you see the impact that I'm making with it, you know,
Just cutting away from the episode real quick, we just thought we should remind you guys about our socials.
You can find us as Amateur Shittalkers on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube.
And if you'd like to find them all in one place, hit the link tree in our Insta bio.
Without further ado, let's get back into the episode. So, like, with your platform, obviously it's still growing and it's not really going to be getting any smaller. What do you, like, so you're using it for, like, a lot of mental health stuff now. What do you see it going forward in the future? Like, where do you see utilising that platform?
I think just looking, especially lately, at the things that are happening in the world and just trying to be a light in the situation. So, such as the fires in Lahaina, Hawaii, like, I think those people have been given $700 each family from the government to try and rebuild a home. But what if you're not insured? It's ridiculous. So I think just using those situations in the world to show some positive light and actually let people know what's going on in the world around that. So I think, you know, going to Lahaina or going to Morocco, where the earthquakes were, as well as definitely what I'm actually trying to do in the future in a month and a half is go to Africa, to just because the poverty over there is just heartbreaking. You know, I really do want to show the world, you know, on social media what a lot of people don't have, and there's not much about that. You don't really see poverty on social media at all. So I think just opening people's eyes to how much we actually have and being grateful for what we have and the small things in life.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going to go to Uganda and help for orphanages, give them clean water, food, take them out for the day, you know, just... Yeah, I guess using the horrible things that are happening in this world and just trying to shine light on those people.
Yeah,
because no other creators really are doing that, even in kindness content, you know. They've never been to Africa. They've never been to these third world countries, really.
Yeah.
So,
and would you say that you, like, after you, for example, you know, you do all these things, you let a kid meet Shaq, if I'm correct. But
yes.
do you often, like, walk out of these things with a full heart, or do you have, like, kind of, like, straight after you do this, you're thinking there's another, like, negative thing I have to go fix kind of thing?
Not really. Like, there was a kid I took 24K golden, and he pulled up at his house and met him, and then I hanged out with a family for 8 hours playing basketball, shooting hoops, playing 2K, having dinner with them. And the video was filmed for 5 minutes. So a lot of it is just like, how can I put as much time into these families as possible? How can I check up? How can I, you know, be there for them? So it can be very draining and exhausting, but there's also no better fulfillment than traveling and seeing these cultures and seeing the way people's faces light up. So much more than this country. We definitely, a lot of us are greedy and aren't grateful for the small things, but like going over to these countries and seeing the joy, the pure joy and smiles it brings to these families and these kids is the best feeling in the world. Like, I would say I'm only 100% happy when I travel, because here I always feel judged. I feel let down by Australian culture and society because of the way they judge people for trying to do something good. But you would not even get looked at funny in one of those countries.
Yeah.
But I don't think people can understand how good of a talker that you really are, and like the way you get your message across.
Yeah.
is you've got it sorted. And I think it's something that shows compared to really a lot of or any other people really on social media. I think it's the best thing you can do, especially with mental health and what you're putting out. You have to be able to talk. And I think you've got that you've got that skill down pat.
Yeah.
Now another question that really I'm sure you'll go along with for a while.
Sorry,
I love it.
Okay.
It's the best stuff that you can do.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people suffer with mental health issues, and a lot of people are quiet about it.
Yeah.
What is the best thing that someone can do that's suffering in silence to get out, I guess, in that sort of sense?
Well, I'd say firstly, a big problem in today's world, I'll begin, and I think a lot of depression starts with the school system. It's a big blame. So, you know, me going through school, I was always an outcast. I was always bullied. I was always trying to talk up, but I really couldn't because I'd feel so judged around me. But that's not my fault. I think it's the way the school system worldwide has created this thing where you're forced to learn something you don't want to learn. Like, shouldn't we be building up kids' self-esteem from the age of 5 or 6? Like, shouldn't we be, you know, targeting these kids early and letting them know what mental health is and letting them know the struggles in primary school? You know, they're going to understand a lot more, because I remember hitting year 6 or 7, I had no idea what mental health was, but I always had this sinking feeling in me since I was like 9.
Yeah.
Like, I was depressed from a young age. Once my auntie committed suicide, I knew how it felt. Like, I felt depression from that moment on for 10 years. Yeah. So I think a big thing is this school system, you know, and the fact that we are never really encouraged to talk up from a young age. And I think that's a big problem.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a big reason people can't talk up.
Yeah. And I think one of the major things is, you know, Matt and I are lucky enough to have like a great system. Like within our school, we have like so many teachers that we can just, you know, have a joke around with.
Yeah,
and we
understand that we're one of the lucky, the lucky
so
people.
I encourage anyone to talk up. You know, the best thing you can do is speak to someone about what you're going through. It only gets easier. And I know it's hard for some people, but I also know it's hard for people because of the way, like, say school, like, you'll have a mental health chat once every 3 months, but will you get your students to sit down, you know, to each other and ask someone every day, are you okay? Like, what's going on in your life? That is so fucking powerful. If you can sit down at your workplace, or if you can sit down with your friend at a cafe and just say the first word, like, are you okay? What's going on in your life? That is how you should start a school day. Yeah. You shouldn't start a school day by, you know, saying, we've got this homework, you know, we've got this school event on today. Why don't you actually talk about mental health every day and normalize it in that way? And 100 more people will speak up about it. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't take one big mental health chat every 6 months for your school to be able to go, we love mental health, we love opening up about this. You're a load of shit. Yeah. Do you really actually take it on every day? And is it something you actually want to strive towards for your students? Or do you just care about their next assignment or their next homework, you know?
Yeah.
I was never a good student in school. I was never successful, but school did not determine my success, and I never would let it.
Yeah. And
I
think
so many people have fallen down that trap.
Yeah.
Of you have to be successful. You have to do good at school to be successful. It's a load of shit, honestly.
Yeah.
So true.
But yeah, like it also has to come out, like, you know, from the teacher willingly. Like, sometimes, you know, they're kind of just forced to ask you, and it's not meaningful from them. If you have like a warm, kind of bubbly teacher that's asking you sincerely, like, it's a lot easier. I remember being in the classroom with a teacher, and we were like, this was like kind of the point in the year that we were touching on mental illnesses and that. And I think like 2 kids in the classroom like were talking about their journey with mental health and that, and it's simply because the classroom felt so safe, because everyone around them were non-judgmental. And it was just,
and I think smaller groups is good too. Rather than speaking to a massive group about mental health, you might get quite lost in it. But like speaking with your class and in small groups or your footy team is so much more powerful. I remember I think Trent Cotchin said at Richmond every day, they used to like sit next to each other side by side and ask, you know, they'd talk to their teammates for 5 minutes and ask, are you doing okay? Like, how's your personal life? And then swap around. Like, it's a great way to connect the team further in those challenges. And I think that's the year they won the premiership or something. Like,
Yeah.
I was just, hearing a lot about that. So, yeah, I encourage anyone to speak up, and it will only get easier. But I want you to also know, I know it's hard to talk up, but it's something you have to do for it to get easier. It's never going to be easy.
The first
That's
step to take is always the hardest.
Yeah, and I think that's also, I think I've said it before in an episode, but like speaking up about it is like you're almost halfway there already to you know, feeling better about yourself. It's just like a massive weight off your shoulders already at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Who do you find, like, has there been someone in your life, or just, you know, through social media or whatever, is that's a like a big role model for what you do, and almost like someone you go to, like, not like for guidance on what you're doing and stuff like that? Who do you think like has affected you in your life?
Well, I think Yes Theory. Do you know Yes Theory?
Yes, I do. No pun intended, but yeah.
Yeah. So Yes Theory were very good for me. So their whole brand's about seeking discomfort and just being yourself and not caring what anyone else thinks. So I used to watch them from a pretty young age, and they used to kind of give me that feeling of I'm allowed to be myself. It's okay to not, you know, it's okay, to be judged, and it's okay to be made fun of. All that matters is that I'm being myself, you know, and they were always like seeking discomfort, and, you know, life begins the second you're not comfortable. The second you're outside that comfort zone, that's when life really does begin. So they inspired me to be able to be myself, to speak up, to jump out of a plane, to do so much in my life I would have never done. So I give big props to them for, being an inspiration to me.
Did you go skydiving?
I did. I took a
really
63-year-old lady skydiving. I walked up to her one day and I'm like, hey, would you like to come skydiving? And she's like, get fucked. And I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, I'd fucking love to come. And she was like a 63-year-old lady. This was in Byron Bay, so, you know, everyone there's quite hippie.
Yeah.
And then, she jumped out of a plane, and it was one of the best things she's ever done. So
that's so
I'm
cool.
I'm so keen to take that step in my life, just soaring through the air, like so far up.
Oh,
in the sky.
that is, it's so beautiful. I was terrified when I did it. I don't know if I enjoyed it completely, but once the parachute popped out, just looking at the world and going, wow, like it's so beautiful to live. Like it's such a free feeling.
Yeah, and I love, like, I've been seeing so many videos, like on TikTok and that lately, and it's just these people outside, and they may be like in the rain or something, and they just say, like, they just go on about how much they love life, and it's so, I love them videos. They're so inspirational.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you seen this guy, King of Chemo? He's...
Yes, King. I've been following him since
he
like
is
100,000 or something like that. Is it
wow.
like... I remember the... I've been
so
following him for a long
inspiring.
time, and then I saw, like, maybe about a year ago now, but I've been following him for a couple of years, and I really want him to go, like, to grow and like reach his goals, sort of thing. And I remember seeing I think 2 in a row, his TikToks blew up and he gained so much traction from it. And I was so happy to see it. It's like you're watching it from like outside, like an outside perspective, watching him go, oh, so cool. I really hope he
definitely.
goes well.
I think the way you inspire people through the most is showing people what you've been through. You know, to know there's people out there who are fighting brain cancer but want to turn that into raising the most money for cancer ever. That is like, whoa. So using those situations you've been through is how you truly inspire people. You can't really inspire people off an empty plate as much, if you get what I mean.
100%, yeah.
You know, use your struggles, and whatever struggles they are, big or small, to inspire other people is how you can make an impact worldwide.
Yeah.
You know?
Couldn't have said it better.
If my auntie, I look at it as if I didn't lose my auntie to suicide, like, you know, it was such a horrible thing, but now I'll look at it with a smile and I go, at least I can save more than one person to this, you know, and at least I can continue to save lives for her, you know, because, yeah.
I think that's also a good segue towards like your clothing brand that you started up, Rosie. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so By Rosie's my clothing brand, named after my auntie Rosie. It's a mental health awareness brand that just, inspires people that the world's a better place with you here. So that's what the back of the shirt says, the world's a better place with you in it. So, and it also says on the bottom, check up on a loved one today. So I think it's just cool for people to, get a reminder in public and look at a shirt and maybe have a smile or maybe check up on a loved one. I hope that's the awareness it can spread without even saying a word. Just like visually can encourage someone or remind someone the world's better with you here, or to check up on someone, So without even having to talk to a stranger, you can wear a shirt that can
affect someone. I feel like it definitely makes like that sort of clothing like that has a message with it. Definitely like you notice it. Like if it says something like there's one hoodie that I saw one time and I've always remembered. This is like a couple of years ago. And the hoodie, like it was standing like I think I was waiting in line, like in like maybe Melbourne Central or something like that. And someone's hoodie said, "Your hair looks nice today." I'm like, oh, sick.
Yeah, it's like those simple reminders and those simple compliments, right? Like, as well, giving a stranger a compliment, it's such a good feeling,
Yeah, and I think it's like it's good in two ways. One being, obviously you've copped a compliment, you feel good about yourself, and then the other way is, it's kind of like a bit of positivity is restored in like our society these days. Like you're thinking, oh well, someone's come up to me and do that. Like it's somewhat a positive world,
I'd say this too, for all the haters out there, I wouldn't be doing what I do on social media if I wasn't hating this world. That is why I do it. Because if no one out there was spreading love, what would be going on in this world is 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Like there has to be positivity out there to feed all this negativity that's happening.
Exactly.
The world's getting a worse place every day, and I believe that, and I hate to say that, but it is.
100%. I think money affects everyone.
The things we normalize now compared to 20 years ago, it's crazy.
Yeah, especially like, and even it comes down to things like, there's the climate and everything, but everyone's mindset has in the last, I'd say 20, 30 years, even though I've only been around for 17 of them, everyone's mindset has shifted to somewhat more selfish. Somewhat more self-centered and less thinking about others.
Like I know 100%. A few people like they just I feel like arguments would be resolved so much easier if you were to just take a second to put yourselves in each other's shoes. Like I have, say one person was going at someone about this and then the other was going about that. It's just like as if they were to take a step back and look at what the other person might be looking at, then it would be so much easier for everyone to just resolve their issues in that, I think.
Do you have a like with your live streams, or you were doing the videos before it, weren't you, with like the hugging and stuff like that? Yeah. Do you have a most like memorable experience, like someone sort of thing?
Yeah, so a young woman, probably 18 to 20 years old. So I was standing in the mall asking, having that sign, if you have depression/anxiety, hug me. And some lady came up to me, and I don't fully remember the experience completely. I've hugged so many people, but after she messaged me saying I was actually like gonna kill myself tonight, and you being in the mall that day stopped me. Like, it just made me cry. It makes me cry now. Like, wow, holy fuck. To me, there is no greater accomplishment than saving a life. Money doesn't matter. Followers don't matter. Anything I do, like, it matters. But the greatest accomplishment that someone can do is save a life. There is no better feeling in this world. So that was amazing to know that simple, like, it really sits back and makes people think.
Yeah, and it goes to show
catch people by attention a lot.
Yeah, and like if I have a day like full of, I could do the most exciting thing ever, but if I had gone past someone that day and given them a compliment, that would be the one thing I remember from that day. Like positivity is, I think, so underrated these days. It just the feeling that it gives people, it's nuts.
I think a lot of people have a lot to contribute to the world but don't realise it. And all it takes is some, small thing to actually like unlock that bit of confidence to take the first step and do what they reach, like whether it's, chasing their dreams, talking to that person or, going to like whatever. Yeah. Everyone has their own like journeys, has their own path that they could go down, but they feel like they're stuck in their own bubble, like based on, money or, the mental illness that they're struggling with or wherever geographical location. And everyone has so much potential. So many people have potential they don't realize that they can actually reach. And I feel like something like what you're using your platform for is something that's really helping people to grow. Like obviously, yes, you're like growing your platforms at the same time and your personal profile, but people misjudge you for like thinking that it's you based.
The beautiful thing too, though, is I was the first kindness creator on TikTok, I believe. This was about 3 years ago. I was a 17-year-old kid, and I had no idea. Some days I still wake up and I go, wow, I've inspired these people, and they've grown so much. I took someone skydiving, Bodhi. He loves surfing. He loves adventure. He loves going out into the world. Me taking him skydiving, he's now grown 80K on Instagram, like 200 or 300K on TikTok. There's multiple names I can think of. There's creators that inspired me on TikTok as well. It's just like, it's crazy.
It's an ongoing thing, yeah.
Exactly.
It's an ongoing thing, yeah.
Kindness goes around and comes around. I feel like as much as there's a lot of negativity in the world, there's still people restoring hope in it.
Yes.
And I think that what you're doing is definitely restoring like a lot of people's perspective on the world and especially on themselves.
Yeah, and it would be good like if people, getting up and making a bed is known as an accomplishment. Like some people do that to make their day a full day pretty much.
Yeah.
And to feel successful within themselves. But if like giving someone a compliment every day was part of feeling full about yourself.
Oh yeah, every day I wake up, how can I make someone smile? How can I make someone's day just a little bit brighter? I live every day to help others. To me, otherwise there's no point to life. Like in my opinion, in my life, like I just want to help people. I want to change the world. And there's a quote out there: those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world actually will.
Exactly.
It's true.
And I think it's showing with what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to like the quote that I think it was the quote of the day. I think last episode it might be. I don't know. The episodes are jumbled, but it was it was. Shit, what was it?
I don't know which one you're thinking of. We've done a few.
Like we've forgotten it, guys. I think
I was jumbling on about how it got about, but
yeah, no, you've lost it.
You've lost it. It's gone.
Get back to us if you think of it. All right. How about we do today's quote of the day? So Sam, something that we do on all of our episodes, like we like towards the end of it, we'll have a quote of the day. Yeah. So we've got it written down. We've got it written down there. You need to get as inspirational as you can. You need to get like really like almost motivational sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
wait, let me understand the quote first. I hope I get it. I am not afraid of storms. I am.
Okay, the quote's come back to me, by the way.
Okay, Ben, go.
Okay, well, you go first.
Those who say they can and those who say they can't are both usually right. Think about that one. I love that quote.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Like, if you think you can and you, like, strive for it, then you probably will.
All right, guys. So the quote of the day, we've talked about mental health a lot on this episode and how to make the world a better place. So the quote of the day... the quote of the day is, I am not afraid of storms because I am still learning how to sail my ship.
Couldn't have said it better, once again.
Did I say it good?
Perfect.
That's it. And even if you didn't say it right, the point still got across.
So advice to all of you, just, live every day to help others and make it a better place. And to those who hate on me, you can fuck off.
Amen.
I love that.
Exactly right. I love that.
And do you want to take a moment to just quickly again plug your socials?
Yeah. So
my Instagram, it's Sozzer, so ITSSOZER, and then it's the same for YouTube and TikTok as well.
And by the time that this comes out, which will be about mid-October, I think, what can people expect from you?
Yeah,
based on that timeline.
You can expect a collaboration with Coldplay in 11 days. Chris Martin himself,
that's
biggest dream. That's the biggest That's the biggest like wow moment. The biggest band in the world. No one can argue that over the last 20 or 30 years, right?
Yeah, no,
Huge.
Matt and I were going to catch a plane to Perth just to see him, I remember.
Yeah. So, it's so powerful hearing the song Yellow for a girl. So we're taking Riley, who's battling stage 4 leukemia, to beat Chris Martin. We're taking Matt, who fought through college football with cancer. So he was fighting cancer and still playing college football. We're taking him to an LA Chargers game to meet the players. We're taking Tommy, who's a massive sports fan, to meet the LA Kings hockey team here in Australia. There'll be a collab with the Wiggles. We'll be going to Lahaina, Hawaii to rebuild homes and open fundraisers for people who lost their homes. So hopefully we can raise enough donations to, build homes for the families who lost theirs. We will be doing a collab with the Matildas and so much more. So stay tuned.
The list just keeps going on, which leads me to think
it's the most exciting month of my life. I've been holding back. I've been not really posting, but
And you reckon you don't keep a calendar?
I don't keep a calendar, guys.
Mental.
Stuff that.
Mental.
I wouldn't know how I'd get my head around all that stuff.
That's why I was late here today. Don't tell anyone that.
No one knows. The podcast's got to come out at the same time anyway.
Yeah, and you're spreading positivity.
Exactly.
Instead, so it's fun.
Well, Sam, I think it was an absolute pleasure having you on today. It was great talking to you and learning your story, and quite some insight, I guess, on you.
And that's that's what our podcast is mainly about, getting people's insights on things, and I think yours were very valuable. So we thank you for coming on. And
would you like me to do the honours of ending this one? Ben?
Yeah, Matt can.
Ben's been doing it for a while. Without further ado, folks, roll the outro music.